Some fun. Well then, hello.
Hey.
Sorry for the very on point start, I guess. I hope, again, I hope you hear us well. I think we're overcorrecting again. Well, we're going to figure this out while we're going.
Is mine working? Yeah.
It should be. Yeah.
Okay,
We just stumbled in, and I'm glad to see, Mike, you're already here. Been a month since the last stream. Yeah. Again, like what was it again? 2 weeks ago. Oh yes, I was at the Red Hat meeting. I almost forgot. And I thought it was more of a thing than it. Like it was different, but it was fun, and it was fun seeing people there, interacting with people, getting to know people. Also fun talking with people from Red Hat. Interesting tidbit, none of them I've met are using RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, on their laptops.
Yeah, it's not what it's made for.
It's not, and it's not what they're using it for. So they're using Fedora or Mac OS. So here you go.
Yeah.
Almost no Windows machines, but no native Linux machines either. So haven't seen one Tuxedo, haven't seen a System 76, haven't seen a framework. But I've seen a lot of frameworks in the like more techie community.
Okay, so what did they use then?
Dell ThinkPads,
Okay.
MacBooks. That's what you see. It looks like an office.
Looks like a big corporation.
It looks like a fairly big corporation. Yeah. But then when you go through the
They
thing,
have an
you
exclusive
see
contract with Dell, and they just
slap on Fedora.
I know that kind of company thing.
Yeah, and they use Fedora, so a lot of them do. So I felt very at home there with me being a Fedora guy as well, and all the red fedoras on all the walls because, of course, Red Hat. Yeah.
Did anyone there actually wear a fedora?
No, and I have not seen.
That's disappointing.
Except for all the pictures on the walls and like laser cutout plexiglass
and wood
stuff.
and
huge fedoras, but no
hipster materials.
But no real fedora.
Okay.
No felt or whatever fedora.
That's disappointing.
It is a little bit at least.
I was in Vienna, and I actually saw a guy wearing, I think, the exact Red Hat fedora, and it was just so fun because the red was so red. That was funny.
Back before I was a Linux guy, like way back when in college, I used to own and wear a black fedora. I was that kid, so at least for a time.
I think I remember vaguely something about that, but not sure. Yeah.
Still is kicking around somewhere at my place. I think it still lives, but if you don't treat a felt hat, does not matter the shape, they get bad over time, and that's not good. Okay, that's not actually the main topic.
No, we kind of stumbled into that.
Yeah, Mike, I don't want to say it was you, but it sort of was you who triggered this part of the conversation. In reality, what I wanted to talk about was like the WebView stuff. We, like from a technical perspective, we're very far along in the beta. We got a little like hiccup maybe today. There was somebody claiming that they had an issue which might have been, Portmaster might have been contributing to some error in the beta, but other than that, it has been very stable. Like I have not seen a lot of issues at all.
But a lot of stuff
gives
is
me a
changing,
lot of confidence.
So we really want to play it safe.
Absolutely, and this does not change.
Everyone who is on a beta, and we'll today mostly talk about things that are in beta. So if you're listening to this and you're not in beta, you probably won't be able to recognize things we talk about, but go ahead and check out beta. as Rafa said, it is pretty stable, and you can always go back and return to the stable release channel.
Yeah,
if you need to.
And exactly, and some of the support requests we have been getting, my recommendation was just switch to beta. Just try beta, and if it works for you, stay there. And of course, most fun is when people are complaining that the little tray icon is white, and when they're in light mode, I mean, who uses light mode? iOS 18 came out. All my stuff is dark now. I'm so glad. All my icons and everything, whatever. And I have bad eyesight. Fairly bad actually. So all the people who are like, oh, we hate people with bad eyesight.
Contrast.
Exactly. Yeah. Just whatever. It works out very well. And so that is in beta. Like in beta, it will switch with light and dark mode. I mean, I have not tested it yet.
Yeah.
I think it's black when you're in light mode.
It's not that easy, especially on Linux, to kind of detect correctly your theme. So you can now also manually change the icon theme.
Can? That I don't know.
Yeah, try it out. You had to hear? Are you in beta?
I am in beta.
Just right click.
Let's not do that while we're on the stream. I like not touching firewall stuff while I'm live, you know?
Okay.
The worst thing that could happen is us cutting off and then having to troubleshoot. And people have been waiting for us for a month now, so I'd rather not.
Okay, so yeah, you can change the icon theme in case it doesn't detect it correctly, or your taskbar doesn't match your theme or whatever. So you can now
because
that.
Of course, Linux distros sometimes allow, like, you can change the color of your taskbar without changing the theme. So if your taskbar is black or dark gray or whatever, and the icon on light is actually, I think it's proper, it's black, it's not gray.
It's pretty much black and white, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you would not see it, but if you just change the color of your status bar without going into dark theme, then yeah, you apparently have the option to change that. It used to be not detecting on me, and I'm again on Fedora GNOME, the best distro there is, and it was black, the icon, so I was not able to see it because everything is dark theme. I wasn't able to see it, but it auto-detected it after, like, and this has been a month or two ago, so fairly long back.
And you're on Wayland, that's the one that gives us troubles. Yeah, so...
Don't know why.
Me neither. Must be stability.
Okay, well then, what the thing I wanted to actually talk about, and I guess the icon is part of it, is that we're changing away from Electron, and with Electron having, especially like the notifier, to tie that neatly in, which for the longest time now has been a separate process running separately. This is now one thing, and we're using a different technology for it, based on Rust or written in Rust. So
we've been on Electron for quite a while now, and because we didn't want to have Electron running all the time, because some of you already have Teams running and you can't run another Electron app next to it. It wouldn't work. So I'm joking, of course, but Teams is the culprit here, the elephant in the room that just uses so much resources, used to use so many resources as an Electron app. And then Microsoft introduced what is called WebView 2, which is also Chromium-based WebView engine, but optimized for Microsoft Windows, and as a kind of library or a system-provided framework that apps can tap into. So instead of having 35 installs of Chromium on your disk, you can just have one, which is maintained by Microsoft. They update it centrally, and we just kind of tell Windows, we need a web view, kind of give us a raw Electron window.
A web view or two.
And and we'll use that. And that doesn't require any the big amount of resources. So previously we put the notifier into separate process or kind of executable, so that we can have the notifier running in the tray icon without the UI. Now we don't need it anymore. We can simplify that. This is now one component. So that means if you switch to beta, first thing you will see, you'll have two icons in the tray. One is the icon kind of from the old system, and one is from the new one. And you'll easily distinguish them based on the context menu between the two.
One has a little bit more stuff in there.
Yeah, the one with more stuff is the new one.
Yeah, and we're aware of some of the issues with it as well. I think it's slower to update the icon itself. For instance,
that's true.
When you
I've noticed it takes just kind of a half a second or a second longer than the previous one. That's something we'll look into, but not now. We're trying kind of to get things stable and push forward first before we look into stuff like that.
Yeah, and you only notice it if you have the other notifier running next to it. That like basically the other notifier, as soon as you hit enable SPN, the icon turns blue. And with the new one, and I think I clicked it on the notifier, so I'm not sure if you click it in the new icon if it then is faster. But if you click on it on the old icon, then that switches immediately, and you can sort of like wait until the other one switches as well. But it is enabled immediately. It just takes a couple of seconds to update.
Yeah, there's just some delay in there for unknown reason at the moment.
And and again, like we're doing this to save on resources, to have Portmaster being able to run on less performant systems.
Yeah.
Also interesting if we're looking into, and also like with this, we don't have to ship Electron again. So systems with less storage, with less RAM.
Users with less download capacity.
Exactly, and stuff like that. Also, again, like we're looking into packaging everything into the main app then for downloads and stuff like that. So a lot of stuff that's tied into all of this, which is a good thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Super cool.
So we want to talk about WebView 2 because there are some differences. People have noticed that, WebView 2 being a Microsoft product, of course, comes with all the Microsoft
Shenanigans.
I
quickly wanted to add, because we're talking about WebView 2 and Microsoft, and we talked about Linux as well, be aware, like we're using Tauri, which is using WebView 2 on Windows. So it is not using
Good point.
WebView 2. We're not shipping any Microsoft stuff on Linux stuff.
Of course,
we're using
exist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just to be aware, this is very Windows specific. If you have questions about how it works on Linux, let us know in the live chat, on the Discord, link is in the description, or just ask us in the comments afterwards if you are curious on how the implementation on Linux works and maybe some differences with Wayland and X11 and so forth. But we're talking about Windows now, again, because there have been privacy questions and you wanted to get into those.
So the user shenanigans of Microsoft, and we're sadly used to that by now, is that, of course, they want data. And that's something that we, of course, don't want to give them. That's something we haven't yet gotten to implement because currently the core service is still trimmed to kind of the old UI to detect the Portmaster UI there and prevent any kind of other network traffic, any other network traffic. So the UI app is actually confined to accessing localhost and I think safing IO. So that's kind of the two locations it is allowed to go to, and I think everything else is forbidden. And what we have to do is kind of update that to also correctly match the WebView 2, which is a bit more complex because it's not a standalone process that we bring along, but kind of we have one process and then there's a sub process which is WebKit, which is kind of ours, the process, but not the binary. So we have to implement additional logic in order, because if we apply these rules to all the Vue 2 apps, then all the Vue 2 apps will stop working. And
which is not cool.
Yeah,
we don't like that.
That's not cool. We don't want to break things. And that's why we still have to figure out how to exactly do this. But we will do it. It will happen, and we will confine WebView to the same as we are doing with Electron. Some people have said they're really don't like WebView 2. That's okay. There are other options. What you can do right now is you can enable developer mode, and then which kind of just changes a couple of things. And of course, you should be more careful because it does reduce the security mechanisms within Portmaster who can access Portmaster. Which means you should never use it on an untrusted system, but you can use this to access the Portmaster UI from your web browser, and then you can just put that into a separate browser window, kind of use that, make it an app button that some browsers have to have in a separate window. So that's kind of how you can use another engine to render the Portmaster user interface. If that's what you like to do, that's something you can do. You don't have to use WebView 2.
Sure.
Yeah. So, yeah. But the one thing more about development mode, you can open it, you can access it from your browser, which doesn't mean that websites have access to that. So there's still protections in there. Development mode doesn't mean protections are off. It just means protections are a bit lowered. So
you need to know what you're doing.
In most cases, you should still be okay. But of course, if there is malware on your computer, it could connect to Portmaster and set rules for itself, which of course is not ideal. So that's only prevented if you have development mode turned off. But you're still safe from websites and stuff because browsers have special mechanisms how to handle cross-site stuff, and we detect that and block that. So you're safe from kind of browsers.
But installed stuff.
Yeah, but installed stuff could access.
Because that's what the developer. That's what the developer mode is for.
Exactly.
You want to give the opportunity for people to sort of like build plugins and manage Portmaster as well. So this is what it is for. This is intended behavior. But you're right. Like if you're going that route because you don't like WebView for some reason, again, like we're locking it down. There's of course like we don't like giving Microsoft data. That's part of the reason why we built Portmaster in the first place. So you can trust that this is as secure as Electron. Again, Electron has been a Google thing. We did not like sending Google data either. Microsoft is the same in that regard. Yeah. So I think most people should stick with it. And it's cool that you're saying, well, there is an option for people with developer mode. But again, like this is not, if you're not a developer, if you don't know what you're doing, you should not be doing it. I guess that's just what I would like to say there as well.
If you're a tech person, if you know what you're doing, there is a way. And go ahead, use that. That's not an issue.
Yeah. With that, we also, I think, finally put a nail in the coffin of supporting older operating systems which don't support WebView 2, because I think Windows 7.
Well, I don't think
Electron did not support Windows 7 anyway either.
I don't think we won't be supporting WebView 2 anyway with the new kernel extension, because that is built against a newer version of the API, Windows kernel API. Mm-hmm. So that will fall out of our support anyway, which we have never officially supported, I think. But there apparently have been people,
Very passionate about Windows 7.
yes, very passionate about Windows 7, which I understand. Windows 7 was an amazing OS, but from a security point of view,
Yeah, very bad at this point. Yeah, no, you should not be running it. It's almost like running Windows XP at this day, and it's so much fun. Like, I think the episode is not out yet, but tomorrow there will be an episode of The Sensuous Sounds of InfoSec, a podcast where I'm on, where one of the co-hosts, Matt, is talking about a hack. He has been involved, preventing it. So he was catching the red team while they were actively exploiting and basically trying to deploy ransomware and stuff like that. Super interesting story. Part of the issue was an 2008 server, which is basically Windows 7, and privilege acceleration, stuff like that. At this today, much easier, and host escape and stuff like that, much easier on Windows 7. So you are playing with fire at this point, and really should upgrade.
yeah, or switch to a superior operating system.
I have been trying to be 100% Linux for the longest time now. I think for over a year, and I sort of had to go back on for some of the stuff that I just like doing. It is if you know your way around Microsoft Office. I have tried using LibreOffice. I have tried using OnlyOffice. It is not the same. It does not work. It does not have all the features, and it's okay for everyday use. But as soon as you have databases where you need to query stuff and so forth, and you know how to do it with Microsoft and the Microsoft World, with their sorting.
Yeah, all the corporate stuff.
Exactly. Love that. Have done that for years, and there's no open source alternative for that at the moment. And also, of course, gaming.
Yeah, I remember my times being at a company where they actually only use Windows officially, and I just scrapped the Windows, installed Linux, and requested a virtual machine that was part of the company network, so I could run the one single app once a month that I needed.
Oh, for time tracking?
Yeah, that ran on, on Windows, but for everything else, I was just using Linux, and it was great. Yeah, fun times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't have to use my Office suite. Fortunately, I was just kind of doing research and kind of programming proof of concepts and stuff like that. Yeah, so.
Mike said he has been daily driving Fedora for 5 years now, and everything has been incredible, but still need Office 365. Yeah, Office 365 is not the same and cannot do everything that the local version can do. So if you're talking about Office 365 online, some of this stuff you have, there's somewhere a gap where the online version can actually show you these things and sometimes actually do it, but you cannot put it in. There are the buttons are missing and stuff like that. Otherwise, I would be okay with having a stripped down Edge as a flat pack, locked down with Portmaster that can only access Office, and basically a web app, but it's not doable. It's not capable of doing everything. Maybe this will change in the future. I mean, Microsoft they keep saying that they're cloud first. So if that changes, that might open up this possibility for the future as well. But yeah, in regards to gaming, it's still the Steam Deck made a lot of stuff easier, but anti-cheat software is still a pain. And if you like using stuff like hardware, like Stream Deck and so forth, the support for hardware such as the Stream Deck is not good on Linux. And I looked at 2 projects, even donated to them, tried to get involved with them, and but it's I don't have time necessarily to do
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so for me, the easier option was to switch back to Windows, just for the stuff where I actually like want to actually use the Stream Deck as intended and just quickly move buttons around and create profiles and have all the functionality and not just the three things that developer needed and built for themselves, which is cool and stuff. And that's how open source usually works. And I did not demand some new feature. I was just like, hey, if you could do that, and I would buy you a coffee or two or three or whatever,
Yeah.
if you're into beer, who knows, a crate of beer, but that's sort of like, and of course, it's not a professional app. It doesn't work well. It doesn't run well. Some of them are X11, which I don't like.
Yeah, but if you don't need all that stuff, then you can still switch to the superior operating system.
So if you're only browsing the internet and not doing anything else,
well,
you're saying I should get my grandma on on Linux.
Well, I think that Linux has a lot of great applications, and also there are a lot of applications online. So I do actually have a Windows VM just for Adobe. The last version you could buy, but I use it less and less because there's, for example, an online a website.
Draw.io?
No, a website.
Okay. Oh, that one. Oh gosh.
That is kind of built Photoshop on the web, and
Kinda.
for what I need Photoshop for, it's really good. It's called Photopea.net, and
Huge ads.
It's huge ads if you don't use an ad blocker. But it is great. I'm really amazed like how much of this can like so easily run in a browser.
Sure.
It works great for the stuff I need, and it's free or so. It's free. They want you to look at the ads, but other than that, it's free.
Not a recommendation for me. I've used it once or twice, and no.
Yeah.
Draw.io.
Yeah,
Good.
there are alternatives, and they might work for you. But that's kind of the thing with Windows anyway. I understand a lot of people use Windows because they're used to it, and that's kind of what works for them. Especially people that love gaming, they don't want the hassle of gaming on Linux. I understand.
And I don't want to buy new hardware for everything. The hardware is supported on Windows because it's a dominant platform.
Exactly.
And a lot of hardware is also supported on Mac because it's the second platform. But Linux is not. Like if the Linux community doesn't write the stuff themselves, and if you don't have a developer who's passionate about a thing or two, then it's not working. I, for instance, own already, like, I think we told that story in the past, but my typical thing I bring up is that we had in the office, because we used to develop on Mac, a lot of USB-C displays, and some of them just did not work on yours. It did not work on your first Tuxedo computer.
Yeah, there was some
like
weirdness.
Yeah,
a lot of weirdness there.
And it took some time, and we were very selective in what hardware we were selecting for laptops at that point, and what Linux distributions we're selecting, so that this can actually work, that they work with the hardware we already got. And of course, like
it's not
printers,
plug and play as you used with Windows.
and printers still don't work. Like we have one in the office that works with his device. It doesn't work with
all
mine.
printers work with my device. Oh, it must be Fedora, right?
No, and
maybe you have time to switch to superior operating system.
You know that Pop OS, the next version with Cosmic is only Wayland as well.
That's okay.
So your
my
X11...
printers will work, I'm sure.
Yeah, but you actually looked into that. You bought the printer you bought
That's
for
true.
yourself.
I bought a printer
explicitly
that has the KPDL file, so the actual driver file, you can just download that directly without their weird software around it. And yes.
Yeah. So that's part of the stuff. But
now
we don't
I
need
have
to
a Japanese printer, and that's awesome.
We don't have to get into too much detail.
Okay. The point I was trying to make when you interrupted me was that I understand that people like Windows and they want to keep using it, but I feel like we're coming to the point where it's like you want to use Windows, but you don't want all that stuff that comes with it. And there are still some ways you can kind of turn things off and tweak it, but it's getting more and more work, and we're getting to the point where that won't be possible anymore. And you'll just have to decide if you're gonna put up with their shit, or if you're gonna actually
get the year of the Linux desktop,
pull out and be like, okay, this has gone too far. I will take the cost of switching my operating system instead of taking the cost of my privacy. And that's
or
kind of
patching myself to death.
yeah, and that's a personal decision, because this cost kind of relationship is different for every one of us. But I think the costs of keeping using Windows are rising by the year. So that's definitely something I think more and more people will need to think of. And that's something also that I think this is a great place to talk about this. To kind of also for the people that love Portmaster and kind of also talk about Portmaster and privacy in their communities. I think that's a really important point to make, that there will be a point where you'll either have to eat it or ditch it. And that's where we're going. And what you can do now is you can start preparing yourself. You can already start when you buy a new webcam, when you buy kind of new monitor, new like laptop. You can just if you have a couple models that you're interested in, you can just do a quick search online and see if one of them has obvious issues with Linux or the other doesn't. Pick the one that doesn't. You can kind of, right now, you can slowly start adapting your environment so you're actually ready and reduce the friction by a lot when the time has come to switch, because you don't have extra costs because you have to switch hardware or something. I have to say, like, hardware that is kind of a couple years old normally works so very well with Linux. So it's just the brand new stuff that has hiccups here and there, but stuff just a couple years old normally works very well. So, but yeah, that's kind of something that you can start thinking about. Kind of which direction do you want to go with that, and kind of your operating system. And there are options that kind of distros that kind of try to pick you up with a kind of a Windows feel, so you kind of are used to where the buttons are, and kind of they try to kind of mimic some of the user experience in order to make it easier. I haven't used them myself yet, so I'm not sure I can recommend any of them at the moment, but there are like loads of websites and reviews about them online, YouTube, wherever, so you can, I guess, pretty easily find them.
And they have a solid fan base.
Yeah, definitely.
What we can say is neither Pop! OS nor Fedora are one of them. So you need to. They're both.
They're
running.
both GNOME, and GNOME is a bit more kind of Mac-ish simplicity and kind of cleaner, less stuff in your face. So.
And I'd say better, but I know there are currently people fighting about that online.
So it's
let us know in the comments what desktop environment you prefer and what operating system you like.
Do you really want to spend the rest of your day going through the comments and deleting
No. I think we will be very civil. If our Discord is anything to go by, I think we're very civil.
That's true.
Our people are very civil out there. But I think it's a good recommendation, and I think even though we will keep on the fight for keeping people on Windows as private as possible with Portmaster, it is something you need to look into as well. And I think it is something that is, what you just said is, it's just one web search away, one considering upgrading and stuff like that. And if you, for instance, have the option of having maybe multiple hard drives in there, or switching hard drives easy, which would be the very best option, because Windows, like, there was one thing recently again where I think either brick devices or whatever.
That
Like
is
if there was a second operating system
There was
installed.
something weird with
Yeah, there
it.
was something very weird. And this is typical. This has been happening for years, that Windows updates sort of like delete grub and stuff like that. And then you cannot easily boot into Linux and stuff like that.
If you're using a desktop, just get a second hard drive, and whenever you're installing an operating system,
Take the other one out.
take the other one out or just disconnect it. And then instead of using Windows or Linux bootloader to select your OS, just use the BIOS or UEFI boot options. That works great. Of course, you won't get a nice menu to select, but just to press F12 or F2 or F10 or escape or delete, whatever your BIOS wants. And then you can just select the hard drive. It's not as beautiful, it's not as intuitive, but it works a lot better.
Yeah.
So kind
And
of
give it a
really
try.
have separation of concerns, and definitely also enable this encryption whenever you install Linux, because you don't want your Windows snooping on your Linux hard drive.
Yeah, and Linux makes this so easy. It's, I think, easier than
It's a
BitLocker.
checkbox in install.
Yeah, and then the
So-
passwords you need to put in. But yes.
Yeah.
Okay, super cool. I guess like from our perspective, has been a lovely conversation so far, but our main topic is through. So we would like to open it up. I see we have a couple of people viewing, not just Mike, but thank you, Mike, for asking and telling us stuff already. But we'd like to know like what other stuff, what other questions are out there. Again, like the beta has been very stable. So not a lot of questions have been coming in from that perspective.
Yeah.
And other than that, feature releases are all in beta now. So not a lot of questions outside of those.
Yeah, I can quickly cover the current status of development.
Sure. Yeah.
So
But meanwhile, please.
meanwhile,
live
please
chat
send
or
us
Discord.
questions.
Exactly.
So right now we're working on the last 2 bits to get version 2 out. So last 2 bits. So we finished the new module system that's in beta. Seems to be working great so far. That's very nice. And we have the new UI out. And there was nothing more.
The text.
Yeah, of course, the text. Yeah.
Yeah. And
So-
and now?
And so
the database.
that's already in beta, and the 2 things we're missing now is that we're gonna switch the database. So we're gonna go from BoltDB, which is a key value database, which kind of a so-called NoSQL database.
Which fits the bill.
Which works well in most cases so far, but kind of in our hunt for stability, we want to switch just to using SQLite, which just has an amazing track record on stability and being able to recover and being small and kind of also having some other features that we want. And of course, it's actually a structured data database, and we'll be using it. We already use it for example, the history network history database. So that's already an SQLite database, and we'll be using now also the main database and the cache database. We'll also be using SQLite, more kind of in a key value manner, kind of with some added benefits. But kind of we want to make that switch to make this even more stable, faster and smaller. So I'm looking kind of forward to stability. Of course, BoltDB is super focused on the performance and stuff like that. But we don't need that kind of performance on the client. And so the performance will be, for our use case, also great, but we gain the other benefits of stability, and that's kind of what we're hunting right now. And size, so it will be a lot easier to kind of to manage database size with SQLite. So that's kind of what we're going after right now. That's one thing, and the other thing is rebuilding how we do updates. So updates will be a lot more resilient in the future, a lot easier in kind of the concept and logic, but also will allow us to use offline installers. So it's not just updates, it's kind of a rework of all the installers. We'll kind of update also the location where Portmaster is installed and everything.
Really?
Yeah. So
is it going to?
we're gonna kind of go a lot more in the direction kind of what distros expect, which will also make it easier for all these immutable distros, and kind of so we'll respect a lot more standards, which will also make it easier for security tools and all that, and kind of specialized stuff. So the integration with operating systems will be improved with that too. Of course, both of these things mean this is going to have to be kind of a breaking change, because we're changing where stuff is installed, we're changing databases. There will be a migration that will work perfectly, as we expect, because we test stuff and we do a great job. And it's not that challenging, the migration itself. So at some point, there will be a version 2 installer that we'll be able to use to install and migrate to version 2. That's a manual step you'll have to do. We're not yet sure when it will happen. We want to take our time to make sure that everything really works out, and that this is actually really, really stable. And so that kind of in the future will make it a lot more versatile how you can install Portmaster. You can kind of share this with friends, and you'll have a full install of Portmaster. So you can easier bootstrap systems and everything.
Checksums will be are already on our homepage, but they still will be for the future. Also, the stuff will be signed as it is currently as well. But so make sure if you get it from somewhere else to validate if the thing you got is all like, and checksum is not a signature, but like changing the installer without changing the checksum is very hard.
It's impossible.
Very, very, very hard.
It's impossible.
I think we're using MD5, which has
No.
been. We're using SHA?
Of course.
I have not looked.
Oh.
Okay, a lot of stuff still
What do you
uses
think?
MD5. Okay. It's technically almost impossible.
It's impossible.
Okay, whatever. Like, we would have thought that about pagers exploding as well, but who knows?
I think the hashes we're publishing are SHA-256, so...
Yeah, that is already like very
impossible.
strong. That at least has not been proven to be possible.
Okay, you're very conservative here.
I am.
Okay, good.
People like confidentiality is sort of my favorite thing in all things security and privacy, you know. To the point where I've been told that I should think more about availability as well, to a certain degree. You know.
Also very important.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at right now. Working hard on getting this forward. Doing a lot of testing internally to iron this out, and I don't know yet when we'll start testing version 2. But there's not a lot of stuff missing, but the stuff that's missing is a bit tricky. So it's not quite as easy. It won't be really kind of the easiest thing to do, but we think it will bring a lot more stability, better integration, and versatility to Portmaster, and will kind of open a new era on how we can expand on Portmaster. So I'm looking forward to that.
Super cool. Yeah. Well then, I guess no other questions have been coming in. So again, write them right now. There's a little bit of a delay between us saying stuff, you hearing stuff, and then when you write stuff until it is back with us. So write them right now. But if you're watching this later on, again, join the Discord. Let us know your questions. Write comments below. I'm reading all of the comments. I'm not responding to everybody. sometimes, again, like YouTube is a little bit tricky with displaying them. They're only in the top right notification thing sometimes, which is then hard to get to the video, and then it's hard to understand what they're talking about. It really is. It really is. Try to, I mean, it's just a small channel and it's only for safing, and safing related people. So I don't know. We're not gonna get like YouTubers.
No.
But that's not our ambition. We know our stuff. We're security folk. So again, thank you for your patience with us, of course, as well. When it comes to audio, I sometimes see that the bar goes red, so I hope our audio is not breaking.
YouTube will auto-fix that.
Their AI will auto-fix it?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, so again...
And everything we say that they don't like, they'll just kind of use their AI to kind of live change what we say. I'm pretty sure that they're doing that. So
okay,
we don't talk too much about YouTube here.
Okay, yeah, we're not talking about YouTube. Yeah, have you seen that the last tech tip video has been taken down?
Really?
About
no,
YouTube, they had one where ditching, preventing YouTube, and they said some stuff, and it was taken down.
We're not gonna do that.
We're not gonna do that. No, true story. Even though, of course, like for us, way less, like no revenue for LTT revenue.
Yeah,
money. You know.
Yeah.
No, but again, like get in touch. Let us know what you're thinking about. Try the beta. It is very stable. You can ask on the Discord. If you don't know how to switch to beta, just look at the Wiki for a release channel. I think I should put beta as a search term in that page as well. It's not.
Okay. Yeah, but
I should put beta in there.
You should.
But just look for a release channel. It's just a drop-down thingamajig in Portmaster.
Okay.
Very easy to switch, very easy to do, and as easy to switch back from. And again, let us know questions for the future. We should be on in 2 weeks, but you will see. So. I will create. Yeah, I don't know what's up otherwise, but we should be on in 2 weeks again. If not in 2 weeks, then in a month again. Like Mike was saying, we like to have the week the same. So if we cannot do a week, we will just skip that day and not do it the week after, so that the cadence is the same and sometimes one is missing. That's just easier for us, and I hope you all understand.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to say anything?
No, I don't think there's anything left.
Okay.
Housekeeping, no.
Then let's just tell people.
Thanks for everyone who supports us.
Exactly.
And who kind of makes this possible, that we can continue to push forward.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We love doing that. We love working on Portmaster and pushing that forward.
Yeah.
So
thank you for everybody who's subscribed to Portmaster Plus, Portmaster Pro.
Yeah.
That is what keeps the lights on.
Yes.
And helps us do what we do.
Yeah.
Other than that, thank you everybody for sharing your thoughts. Mike says, thank you for a great stream. Yeah. You too, all of you, have a great rest of your week and enjoy your time. Yeah, maybe on that small note at the end, for those who watched till the very end, Austria had experienced some difficult weather right around the corner from here, like 2 minutes by car. One of our highways got flooded, like it was an actual river. At one point, we're all good.
Yeah.
And our families are good, and we're very happy. And some people asked, which was very nice. No, we're all good. Thank you. Lots of people have lost their homes and houses in Austria. We don't have any hurricanes, but sometimes like the rain pours are so much that there's floods and stuff like that.
Massive floods. Yeah. So.
But other than that, no, thank you again for your support. Thank you for being part of this community, and we wish you all a great week.
See you in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks.
Bye.